Okay, what's up, guys? We had to teach some conduit today, so let's explain what's actually going on, which will probably help. Maybe like a pre-bending conduit, so that way when we go into the field or to the lab, we know what we're kind of looking for. This would be a 1/2-inch EMT bender. Only bends 1/2-inch EMT. So what it looks like, we call this the shoe. I like to call this like the head. You can call it the whole thing a shoe, however you want to define it, right? They sell these little plastic bushing things. We don't want to do that. That's no good, right? But I just want to take a little time to explain what's actually going on this actual thing. So I refer to this as the head, or this little nub shaped thing. This is where we place our pipe in and out. I'll grab the pipe over there. We have an example. So here would be our nub, like so. I place my conduit in, like so, and I take it out. That is what that's for. Okay, that's that part. Next, we have a whole bunch of writing on this bender, right? So, stubs. It says right here, stubs 5 inches to arrow. That's simply referring to that a 5-inch take up is going to happen when you bend a 90 on the arrow, which is right here. This is the arrow, right there. In the newer benders, we also have an arrow on the other side, so we can see it from both sides. And we also have a notch line right here, which also we sharpened it in, and an arrow as well, right? So that's our arrow. Most of our bends are done on the arrow, whether it's an offset, a 4-point saddle, as a stub 90 arrow. 3-point saddle requires an arrow for some of them, all these types of things, okay? So that's where most of our bends are happening. The head, the arrow, we place our pipe in, that's what's happening. We got more things involved on this actual EMT bender though. The next one is gonna be what we see as far as this triangular fixture thing here, right? That we call the notch. That is an exclusive 3-point saddle type of deal, right? That triangle is called the notch. It also has grooves like so, right here, that showcases it from the top. When you bend a 3-point saddle, you need this for your center bend. That is what our notch is for. You could use other bends for sure, right? But traditionally, that's what we know it of as, right? Next, I move down a little bit. I have this star, which is right there, this star. That is our back-to-back 90, right? That is how we bend. If I have a 90 already in a piece of conduit and I want another one, that is what I would use instead of using the take-up method, which this stub length is required for. That is what I'd use. On this particular bender, there's no notch or groove here, but some benders there are. The newer the benders get, the better they're getting out with detailing these things more and more. Okay, so that's our star for back-to-back 90s. Or if you want to do 90s and you don't want to take a really solid measurement, you could just make a mark where you see it, bend it on that, and it makes it a little bit simpler sometimes in the field when it's required to do so. Okay, then I have all these numbers written all over this thing. It's good to associate that to what's going on, and it's very helpful to understand what they're actually talking about. On one side, I have degrees. So I have 10, I have 22, I have 30, I have 45, and I have 60. That refers to degree of bend. 10 degrees, 22 degrees, 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees, okay? For offsets and saddles and all these types of bends that we need, all these numbers are referred to us for mathematical equations we can use to get over certain obstructions in the field when we need to. They all refer to a certain number that we call a multiplier, that they've been kind enough at Klein and all the other places that build these benders have, right? And they gave it to us on the opposite side. So on the opposite side, we can see that a 10-degree bend is a 6-inch multiplier. A 22-degree bend is a 2.6-degree multiplier. A 30 right here is a 2-degree multiplier, which is why everyone wants to use the 30, because it's the easiest. The quotient of this trigonometry equation is 2, so 45 correlates to 1.4, and 60-degree bends right here correlate to 1.2. So they've written all that out for us so we could see it, which is pretty sweet. So those are our details of the bender for the bender shoe. The cool thing about the Klein benders is I can take the head off and put a new one on, which is cool, so I don't have to carry multiple different sticks all the time. We have shrinkage charts on almost all these benders. They go away really fast in the field, right? They'll just get scribbled off, they get worn, torn, you throw this thing on the ground, they don't make it long, right? So it's best to just kind of get those tables in memory and or they're on your phone, right? We're in a new decade, new century. But the important thing to remember is where our arrow is, where our notch is, where our star is, and what these numbers correlate to on the bender, right? I have one side that is degrees and one side that is multipliers nowadays. So I hope that was helpful. Also note, you'll find the stub length every time on this bottom little part, right? For almost all benders you got. So this one's 5, 3/4 6, 1 inch is 8, 1.25 is the last thing we can bend by hand. In reality is 11. I hope this video was helpful. Catch you guys later. Peace.